Jacqui, hi, thank you so much for giving me your time to talk about all what you're doing. For those that don't know, could you explain to me about TNOC?
Hi. So the National Museum of Computing is a museum and a charity based on the Bletchley Park estate. So we are an organisation that is a thriving community of mainly volunteers, I have to say, from all different backgrounds, expertises and industries who come together to keep alive the history of computing and technology.
So it's a bit confusing that when I go to Bletchley Park, I'm expecting to see all of these whirly-burly machines that are still being maintained and have been lovingly restored. How does that work?
The Bletchley Park estate is the place, and within the Bletchley Park estate, you now have just two entities at this point. You have the Bletchley Park Trust, who are our landlords, and they offer a fabulous museum, and that talks to you about the kind of code breakers of World War II within the most amazing grounds. And then you have the National Museum of Computing. So we're in a building called Block H. Block H is the world's first purpose-built data center, and we're on the same site. Now, you can go, and probably should go, to both museums to understand the full and complete World War II story. But if you just wanted to understand sort of the start of computing, but the end of the World War II story, with the Turing Welshman bomb, Enigma, Colossus, Heath Robinson, Lorenz, and that's just the 40s, then you could come straight to the National Museum of Computing. You drive onto the site, you come straight up the hill, park outside, and we welcome you with a smile, even under a mask.
You're the largest museum of working computers in the world?
I feel that some people may argue that, but I would say we have the largest working collection of computers and displays of technology over the largest span of decades. So obviously we start from the 1940s and we have the complete code-breaking World War II collection, and then we go from 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, etc. So yeah, I think that the vastness of the decades that we cover is bigger than anyone else, because a lot of amazing computer museums out there do specialize on a certain era or decade.
And you don't just do the historic. I know you do a lot of supporting of communities locally as well. Do you want to say a few of them that you have helped and run events for, etc.?
Yeah, so especially, well, no, I've been involved in the museum for 7 or 8 years now, and I have to say that we've evolved and grown, and we've sort of opened up our doors a lot more. But we understand people. I think we're very good at people, because machines are nothing without the people that invented them, built them, and obviously the ones that restored them and keep them going. But we work with a lot of communities, and we do a lot to support others. So we worked with Girls Code back in the day when you guys formed, which was amazing. So I think working with communities is very, very important, and that's how you stay connected, but you grow and develop by looking after people. We also work with the neurodiverse or high functioning individuals. We work with, I'd like to call the slightly more matures. So obviously we welcome lots of people in as volunteers. We work with local businesses, but businesses further afield. And also our education piece. We reach global reach on our education piece, especially now with virtual activities as well as physical. So we always give back, and we're very open to working with more communities, by the way. I think if we collaborate, we will just survive.
And exactly that, the surviving, it must be very hard with you at the moment, not able to have visitors, etc. So how have you been coping?
So we lost a member of staff. We didn't, which is a real shame. We're a very small team, so the most we've ever had is sort of 4 full-time members of staff, which is pretty impressive for the size of our museum. But on our books, we have 150 dedicated volunteers. I'd say 70 are involved 2 or 3 times a week, but travel hours to get to us, by the way, which I think is pretty awesome. Financially, we're struggling, like many other charities. We've given a lot away for free during the pandemic, but that was the way to stay connected, and we wanted to support people, and we shouldn't isolate people that don't maybe have the financial funds. We've supported families through lockdown with loaning kit and technology. we're in a position where we need help, but what we want most is that when we open on the 28th of May, that people come to visit. And you can still stick with us online if you're not ready at that weekend, although that is going to be a very good opening weekend.
The history of all these volunteers and Margaret Sale, Mrs. Bletchley Park. Do you want to just say a little bit of few words?
Also, years ago, 9 or 10 years ago, I was offered a job running the Innovation Centre on Bletchley Park, and the first person or second person that greeted me on that Saturday afternoon was Margaret in the mansion, and she greeted me with a hug. She didn't know who I was, but she just gave me a hug, and I missed that. And from then on, I got to know Margaret. I started to volunteer at the museum. She is one of my most favourite women in the world. She was inspiring. She was dedicated. After Tony died, bearing in mind Tony and Margaret were the two people that led the group of volunteers to open the Bletchley Park estate back in the day. Running around making sandwiches, greeting people, showing them around, painting walls. She's an inspiration. She's an absolute inspiration. And when Tony passed away, she stuck at it, and she allows us at the museum to continue on with their vision. So I think with Women's History Month, I know Margaret's been recognised many times and wasn't directly involved with technology, but allowed it to develop and evolve and then educate others on it. More of us should take that time to do that, I think. And I'm just part of a small team that are going to deliver that message. And I'm sorry, but I miss her, but I think she's somewhere looking down, and hopefully she's proud. So
one of my favourite things that I learned about Margaret was she helped bridge the gap between very technical people and how to communicate with your visitors. And she was amazing at that. And we all play our part in tech. So like you say, as in, she may not have got involved with tech in a direct with the machines, but as what this whole meeting that I'm trying to sort of do, we all have our part to play. And so I really would like to dedicate this event to Margaret Sale.
And I have to say, on behalf of everyone at the museum, I think they'd be delighted. And I just say the backdrop behind me, you've got females, young women, working, whether they're working on the Turing Russian bomb or the Colossus, back in the day, they might not have been recognised for doing, because they weren't on the front line, but they weren't recognised for what they were doing. But let me tell you, every woman that does something is the simplest thing. You can't, how do I explain it? So Margaret you'd come into Margaret and she would know exactly how the Tunny machine works and the Colossus machine. But actually, it's fine that the Tunny and Colossus machine ran, but actually without explaining how it ran to the general visitors, it meant nothing. Do you see what I mean? So she was a big part of the puzzle. I think, all of us are parts of the puzzle, and there's always going to be a missing piece unless we collaborate and work together. I think this is what you're doing. You're kind of bringing us all together and making sure that everybody's aware of what's out there, because there are so many resources. It's just your time. Just put your time in and you'll meet amazing people.
Brilliant. And I love to see that passion, Jacqui. I really do, because it's what gets us up and going in the day and keeps us doing things for a long hours that we do. So I do, and again, appreciate all the help that you've given me, Girls Code MK, and continuing on with Code for Her as well. So thank you, Jacqui.
And I have to say that Code for Her, I think, is going to be a huge success. And I think you've already done an amazing job. But I can't wait for us to get together and do some physical events, inspire some others, just be together. It's the simplest things that you learn, and you just go home and you feel amazing. So yeah, we'll do it. Together, we'll do it.